The new season 2, has allowed us to do something we've never been able to do before, which is crazy fast gearing as soon as we enter a new world tier. So the very first thing though, when we're looking at for the season stuff, is before you go into the world tier, you beat the capstone, and before you go into the world tier, and if you've already gone, you can come back, but in the current world tier, so if we're going into world tier 3, world tier 2, go and make sure that you have the seeker keys you need from Blood Harvest. So just anytime you enter into a Blood Harvest area, you'll see at the top, they have the blood lores and they'll have the seeker keys that you have. We want about 30 seeker keys before we jump to the next tier. So as soon as you have them, we are going to go there. So go ahead in whatever tier you're going. If it's 3 or 4, go into that tier and back into Blood Harvest. We're going to stay on our mount, especially if you came in early. So, they recommend like Capstone 3 is, or Capstone into World Tier 3 is like level 50, and then level 70 if you're going into World Tier 4. But if you're doing that early, especially if you're doing really early, this is even going to be more powerful and you have to be careful for it. So when we go to do this, just stay on your horse, and then you run through the Blood Harvest until you see the chest, grab the chest, pick up everything, and then run on to the next one. Stay away from the mobs as much as you can. You don't want to have to like worry about, getting picked off all the time. And we're going to try to open about 10 to 15 chests. That's why we have the 30 keys, because we might do another round of this depending on what we get. So once you get those keys, just spring back to town, or once you get all the chests open, go back to town, and then make sure that you gear yourself up with the best sacreds you have. So this may mean in some cases that you're actually putting a rare where there was an aspect. As long as the aspect is not crucial, it's more important to put the sacred or ancestral in that place and have that major boost in the item than it is to have all the aspects on every single item. We can re-gear that if we need to. But right now we're just trying to get good gear in place that allows us to actually go clear mobs in this world tier. That's it. So I did notice after we've done this, or I've done this, I went back and did another round, which I recommend if you're still looking to gear, and you didn't like what you found, or you want to get something better, or you're missing a piece. Go ahead and do it around. We have those other set of 15 keys still available to us. Do that again. And then I did notice even after 2 runs, I had not gotten a single weapon, which weapon is crucial. If you are not getting that higher damage per second from a new world tier weapon, then it is really hard to clear on your own. It just takes a lot longer and honestly can stifle your leveling overall. So it's better to take the extra time and do a little bit of extra to get that weapon than it is to just trying to push through and hope that it's good enough. And the way to do that is just what I call ride-alongs. So you just take someone that's kind of running through, already crushing everything in Blood Harvest, and you just kind of follow along close enough to them that you're also dropping the stuff. Anything you can do to help them clean up the little guys that don't have to kill, that gets them extra experience and helps them clear faster. That's really cool. But then just keep going until you start picking up gears, because this will drop weapons for you, and you just need a decent weapon to do what is coming next. So if you've done this, then at this point you have done very, very well at gearing yourself up. You have a good weapon. You're doing much more damage. You're clearing things by yourself. You can double check those aspects if you want at this point. But if you're still missing certain pieces and you want to do a little bit better, we can go back to the strategy of how we leveled up or how we geared up in Eternal Realm or in any previous season. So we can now go to Hell Tides, which allow us, to get materials that we're going to need for upgrading anyway, but also to target the actual chest for what we need. So if you are in Eternal Realm, this is just where you would come. You would try to do your best to do ride-alongs and get enough of the cinders to basically open up the small chest until you had the gear. So just replace the chest in the or not mystery chest, but the little chest that you get in Hell Tides with the seeker chest, and that's pretty much, it'll follow very similar suit. It's not as fast. It's way easier to do it with the seeker chest. So, but this can allow you to actually do target building too, so you can grab the right items that you need. It may take longer, and then you have to also wait for a Hell Tide. So that one element I don't like about it, but it does let you target and finish out. So if you didn't get a solid weapon or you got an okay weapon and you really want to go for the better one, then this would be the place to do it. Now, Season 2 has yet another advantage for rapidly leveling as soon as you enter a world tier. Once you've done these things, you have a good enough set, you can do some early bossing. For actually both world tiers, the best bet is going to be going after Varshan. Varshan is relatively easy to pick off as long as you make sure that you have good poison resistance and that your build is, you have done what's already, what we already covered. So if you've done that, then it should be pretty easy to pick him off. Now, there may be a chance that you can't, like you go in there and you can't quite pick him off. We may come back and do some of these other strategies, but I'll get to that in a second. So why is it so important? Any bossing, actually, even world bosses, drop gear at a much higher item level. The item power level of those drops are way beyond what you can get especially if you're coming in at a very low level. You will want to do that, but you could instantly get some of the best gear, some of the highest item power gear, just by being able to go and run and do the bosses. So if you're doing Varshan, we're going to be hitting up the Tree of Whispers, which we can do by just leveling up in the Blood Harvest at this point and getting the pieces that we need to open up Varshan's tunnel, which is, well, the tunnel's sitting right there, but to open up his actual boss fight at the end, you can collect those stuff by doing just finishing the Tree of Whisper events and just stockpiling the items you get. Once you get the items you need, you go in and fight Varshan. You can actually just kind of come back out, reset the dungeon, fight him again if you have enough material. But this allows you to keep going over and over again until you stockpile basically high end, just the rare gear. You don't even, the legendary and unique drops are really cool and they can happen. They don't happen as often, but you just really need the high level rolls of rares because that will finish out the rest to almost end game spec for all of your gear really, really fast. This is honestly all in doing this. You could find yourself in a handful of hours seeing like most of your pieces be at this really high level. And so then everything just becomes really smooth. And now the pieces are a high enough item power that even if you're not ready to min and max, it's worth putting aspects on and spending the extra price to level them up because it'll make your build crazy powerful and you'll whip right through the world tier to whatever you want to do. So this strategy is not the only thing that actually makes you crazy powerful though. In this season, we have yet another thing, and that is going to be the vampiric powers. If you want a quick guide just to kind of get a jump start on how to use vampiric powers and how they work, watch this video where I talk about the things I wish I would have known about vampiric powers before the season started.